and welcome to Wellness Watch, a show that explores the nuances and the burden of illnesses and diseases on mankind and how we in India are dealing with it. Every bite we take tells a story of farms, farmers, markets and meals. But hidden in that journey from farm to fork is a silent concern, and that is food safety. We often focus on taste, flavor, nutrition or presentation, but how many times have you taken into account the safety measures while gulping down that scrumptious bite? A simple lapse in hygiene or storage can turn a delicious meal into a dangerous one, causing long-lasting disability and even death. Today in Wellness Watch, we discuss food safety. I'm Preeti Kaur. From what's on your plate to how it's prepared, food safety is not just a household concern, it's a global public health emergency. Every year, contaminated food causes illness in millions and claims thousands of lives, especially among the young children. But as science evolves and nations act, there is hope and progress. World Food Safety Day is held every year on June 7th, and this year's theme is Food Safety, Science in Action. And it underscores the power of innovation and data in keeping what we eat safe. Because when food safety fails, it affects health, economies and futures. Today, we explore the risks, the innovations and the habits that could save lives. Here's a report by DD India's Harshita Oberoi.
A simple meal, a shared snack, it all seems harmless, even nourishing. But every bite could carry an invisible threat. Foodborne diseases caused by bacteria, viruses, parasites, or chemical contamination strike down 600 million people annually, and 420,000 of them never recover. The youngest bear the heaviest burden. Children under 5 account for 40% of these cases, with 125,000 deaths each year. In Southeast Asia, the numbers are even more alarming. Half of all malnutrition cases aren't due to food shortage, but due to diseases from poor sanitation and unhygienic practices. So, how does this invisible enemy enter our systems? It begins in the environment. Polluted water, contaminated soil, unsafe food handling, and unhygienic storage. Foodborne diseases are caused by a variety of culprits. Bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli that lurk in eggs, poultry, and unwashed vegetables. Viruses like norovirus and hepatitis A that spread through raw seafood and infected handlers. Parasites from unsafe water sources, and even toxins from naturally poisonous mushrooms or moldy grains. The consequences? Diarrhea, fever, vomiting, and in severe cases, liver failure or even death. But science and policy are fighting back. Medical breakthroughs like whole genome sequencing help track and stop outbreaks faster. Rapid diagnostic tools detect pathogens instantly. Technologies like cold plasma and high pressure processing are sterilizing food without destroying nutrition. Even packaging is evolving, with nanosensors that can detect contaminants in real time. In India, change begins at the grassroots. Anganwadi centers under the Ministry of Women and Child Development are prioritizing food safety for children and mothers. FSSAI, India's food watchdog, continues to regulate, monitor, and educate, and the Swachh Bharat mission has been a game changer. Recognized by the WHO, it's estimated to have prevented over 300,000 deaths from diarrhea and malnutrition between 2014 to 2019. Before the Swachh Bharat mission, India saw nearly 119 million cases of diarrhea annually. That number is now on a steep decline. June 7 is World Food Safety Day, a global reminder that food safety is not a privilege but a necessity. The theme for 2025 is Food Safety, Science in Action, spotlighting the vital role that research, innovation, and data play in keeping our meals safe. From farms to food labs, science is helping identify risks, enforce hygiene, and drive smarter food choices. Safe food doesn't just prevent disease, it also strengthens economies and saves lives. Staying safe starts with small habits, habits that just take seconds. Washing your hands with soap for at least 20 seconds before touching food. Rinsing fruits and vegetables thoroughly. Refrigerating leftovers within 2 hours of cooking or shopping. These simple steps can prevent hours of nausea, stomach cramps, or worse. In the fast pace of life, a pause for food safety can mean the difference between health and harm. The battle against foodborne diseases is far from over, but the tools, the will, and the awareness are stronger than ever. So the next time you reach for a meal, remember, safety doesn't start on your plate, it starts much earlier. Clean hands, clean kitchens, clean systems, they can save lives. Harshita Oberoy's report for Wellness Watch, DD India.
In a world where global food supply chains are growing more complex, ensuring food safety is no longer a kitchen concern, it is a public health priority. Food safety, nutrition and food security are inextricably linked. Now, according to WHO, an estimated 1,600 million, almost 1 in 10 people in the world, fall ill after eating contaminated food, and 420,000 people die every year. $110 billion is lost each year in productivity and medical expenses resulting from unsafe food in low and middle income countries. Foodborne illnesses are usually infectious or toxic in nature and are caused by bacteria, viruses, parasites or chemical substances entering the body through contaminated food. Chemical contamination can lead to acute poisoning or long-term diseases such as cancer and even death. Today in Wellness Watch, we look for these answers. Up on your screens, what is foodborne illness? Which foods make us sick? What is the burden of foodborne diseases? What are the big 5 foodborne pathogens? And what medical intervention is available in India? In India, treatment for foodborne illnesses often starts with home care, focusing on hydration and rest. For more severe cases, medical interventions like IV fluids, antibiotics or antiparasitic medications may be necessary. Added to this, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, FSSAI, established under the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006, governs food safety regulations across India. Swachh Bharat initiative has also helped in preventing foodborne illnesses. Up on your screens, we'll get you some prominent hospitals in the country which provide intervention for this. All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi, Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital, Delhi, King Edward Memorial Hospital, Mumbai, Government Medical College, Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala. All right, to help us understand what are foodborne diseases and how grave or serious or severe they are, we are joined in by guests in the studio today. We're also joined by a guest online, Dr. Naresh Gupta, medical consultant, Maulana Azad Medical College, Delhi is there with us in studio. Dr. Sunil M. Raheja, medical director, Moolchand Hospital is there with us in studio. He's former DGHS and MS, GB Pant Hospital. And Dr. Umesh Capil, former professor, human nutrition, AIMS, is joining us virtually. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us this afternoon on Wellness Watch. Dr. Gupta, to begin with, we've given a broad outline of what is foodborne illnesses, but to our viewers in simple, common layman terms, explain to us what is foodborne disease.
See, foodborne disease, food as the name implies, is anything that we consume from morning till evening for our living or for our enjoyment. And any medical illness which comes out of this consumption would be called a foodborne disease. Now, as was said, the foodborne disease does not mean that the food is bad. If you take a poisonous food, you know, we had some of these Loki juice causing problems. So there are natural toxins, those are one, but here we are talking about the ones that get into the food advertently or inadvertently for good reasons or bad reasons, but it is always bad for the human health. And once they get into the human body through the stomach, that is the route where they get absorbed and get into the blood. And once they get into the blood, they can cause illness and havoc anywhere. The first brunt of this foodborne disease is borne by the gut. And that's why one tends to see the pain, abdomen, nausea, vomiting as the common, or diarrhea as the common manifestations.
All right, I'll take that forward to Dr. Raheja. Dr. Raheja, help us understand why is food safety, or for that matter, foodborne diseases, why are they a public health concern? What is the burden of these diseases?
Yes, you know, as per the WHO, the World Safety Day, as you very well told, science in action. So, there are more than 200 diseases which are caused by the unsafe food, from diarrhea to cancer, and 1,60,000 people every day fall sick because of the food, unsafe food.
Unsafe food.
So that is how it's a big socio-economic burden, because when you fall sick, you are not able to work, even the children growth is getting stunted, and their growth is affected, their development is affected, schooling and physical growth, mental growth, and at the same time for the adults also, from the diarrhea, from the viral diarrhea to bacterial diseases to protozoal diseases, and the unsafe food basically is a broad term now. And to ensure the safety of food, it is everyone's concern, everyone's responsibility, from home to school canteen to office canteen to market vendors to agriculture to industry. So everyone has to play its part. Government is creating awareness as through this program, and even World Health Organization is concerned about the food safety. So it is very well taken that all of us need to ensure that because of the unsafe food, you can get acute gastroenteritis, fever, hepatitis A, hepatitis E,
Right.
enteric fever, protozoal diseases.
All right. So that makes it more grave.
Even
and
viral
more
diarrhea
serious.
in
Right.
children is very common.
All right, from here I will bring in Dr. Capil. Dr. Capil, help us understand which foods make us sick, and when we talk of foodborne diseases, who are at risk? Because Dr. Reja tells us that unsafe food is a broad term now. Help us understand what constitutes safe and unsafe foods, and also who is at risk.
So, if we look at a broader perspective, food remains food. It's a question of how the food handlers handle the food. Now, say for example, there are waiters, there are the one who make the food at the street side or even in the best of the best kitchen. If their fingers, nails are big enough, so what happens? After going to the toilet, the nail bed gets contaminated with the fecal matter.
Okay.
And when they prepare the food, this fecal matter comes into the food, what we eat. Now, this is something very, very important. The personal hygiene is very poorly maintained, particularly in the street food vendors, even on the roadside dhabas, because nobody gives any priority to them. The second issue which comes in is not the food, it is the water which is main culprit. If you look at the water is a part of the food, and if you look at most of the diseases which occurs is foodborne diseases. Look at the typhoid, cholera, all the parasitic infestations. If we look at viral hepatitis, infective hepatitis, they all are because of the unsafe food or the contamination of food with fecal matter. Now, the issue is that this concept of washing hands 2 times, 3 times after going to the toilet is hardly being observed because it's not a priority for the dhaba owner or the food vendors.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll take that forward to Dr. Gupta. Dr. Gupta, so is it just personal hygiene that is the most prominent factor when we talk of food illnesses? What are the big 5 pathogens that lead to foodborne illnesses?
See, one, this orophycal route is most important. One must understand that it happens not only in the homes, it happens in restaurants, it happens in hotels, it happens in all industry, roadside, and even from our college, previous college, Maulana Azad Medical College, we had a publication which said not 10%, 13, 14% of every home has this problem of foodborne illnesses. So the microbial aspect, microbiological contamination, which we have been talking about, is a major aspect of food contaminated health problems in India. But we must remember that apart from that, there are some we deal in processed foods now. There is so much of consumption of processed food and I will say synthetic food that the processing, additives, preservatives, pesticides, chemicals, what is there in the soil that it is growing on, everything gets into the food. Then the food sometimes gets contaminated because of reasons that are not good, like trans fats are there. And there are many of these chemicals and trans fats are added because they make the food more palatable. The cake becomes important. The cake becomes more tasty and palatable. So these things are added, whereas they are poisonous, they are cancerous. Trans fats are cancerous. Now for this, there are many regulations which individuals cannot make or cannot take care of. And we have Food Safety and Standards Authority of India that came up about 2 decades back under Ministry of Health. And they have been increasingly coming out with better awareness programs, and we need these programs. So we have a lot of reasons why foods get bad. And one thing to keep in mind is, since we are talking about the contamination, is one must wash hands, must wash utensils, and must wash the table or the mat on which you are eating. This is very important. Second thing we must remember is food will get contaminated soon after it gets prepared. Food is not contaminated once it is hanging on the trees, but once it comes up and becomes dead, it has a risk of getting contaminated. Don't think I've cooked in the morning, I'll have the lunch, so let it be outside, or I've cooked at lunchtime, let it be outside, I'll eat during dinner. So first is the cooking has to be good, do good boiling cooking. But then at the same time, if you're not eating it, do good freezing. That also should be good. So cleanliness of the hands, hygiene, surroundings, and keeping these things aside are good. Must also remember that any food item can get contaminated. This weather of heat and rain, when there is high humidity, the contamination is very high, especially from the bacteria of the non-vegetarian diet and of the fungus on all the diets. So you could see the bread growing problems, coffee beans growing problem, all the vegetables, even inside the fridge, they will grow this. Remember that. If it is in the fridge, it does not mean it is safe forever. So that contamination comes in and it gets into the body. There are many persons or individuals who would be at higher risk. Small babies are at higher risk because they will touch anywhere and put the fingers in their mouth. The diseased patients, chronic disease patients, diabetics are there, hypertension are there, osteoarthritis there, cancer, they are all, pregnant ladies are there, they are at higher risk. But also nature has given us a very good protective mechanism, and that is the acidity in our stomach. Acidity is taken as a bad word these days in the common parlance. But acidity is one of the best things that could happen to the human beings. And it has become a common practice to take what we call antacids, the things that kill the acid. And we have such good anti-acid drugs that they, once they like it, they get kind of addicted. You would have heard of these pantoprazole and PPIs and other ones. So they are all so strong that they take away the protection. So the microbes that will get into the body with the food, let's say cholera, for example, will get killed in the stomach because of this. But if this protection is taken away, then whether it is E. coli, cholera or virus, whatever is there will get passed through and make havoc inside. So I think there are very many reasons why the foods can go bad.
All right, so very important tips given by Dr. Gupta here. I'll take that forward to Dr. Reja. Dr. Reja, sir did talk of how, in humid conditions, there are more chances of food getting spoiled. But then are foodborne diseases prone to the weather season or the weather of the season? To what extent does weather or season play a role in contamination of food?
A very good question. As we know, during the rainy weather or just before the onset of rain, there is a high humidity, high temperature. So this is basically pathogens friendly atmosphere, temperature wise and humidity wise, for multiplication of various kind of viruses, bacteria and protozoa, amoeba. So this is where we need to be more cautious that food we are cooking is cooked in a hygienic way. The person who is cooking first washes his hands properly, then the person who is eating it washes its hands,
Yes.
then the preferably the fresh food should be cooked and eaten within 1 or 2 hours. But because of the compulsion these days, if the food has to be stored, it should be stored at the optimum temperature in the fridge or whatever
Right.
cold facility you have, and that too for a particular period, maybe 6 to 8 hours, but not beyond 24 hours. And once you take out the food from the fridge, from the cold storage, you only heat what you are going to eat. Don't heat the entire thing and take part of it and put it back
Again,
in the
back in the fridge.
refrigerator,
All
because
right.
again that will make the pathogens to grow more. And last but not the least, one must use hygienic conditions at every level. What I say, because we have to eat, children have to eat the food in the canteen, government has got the regulations, food and safety regulations are in place, one must ensure the compliance and follow up by
Yes,
every
so
vendor,
in a
every
nutshell,
school,
it has to be a
even
societal
street
effort.
vendors, they have to
Yes.
take care. So you have to take, and that to a level that everyone from the child
Right, right.
to the elderly with low immunity status must get a hygienic food
Yes,
stored
so
in
we
the
have to be
right way.
cautious, and it has to be a societal effort to ensure safety of food. At this point, I'll bring in Dr. Kapil. Dr. Kapil, help our viewers understand what is incubation period and to what extent does it affect the bout of foodborne diseases a person can have?
When we talk about the incubation period, it means that the time the organism enters the body and the disease manifestation takes place. So it's always, it depends upon the type of disease. A typhoid may have 2 to 3 weeks of gestation period. A cholera may have only 48 hours to 72 hours. So that depends upon the disease. So once a disease enters the body, there is a mechanism which you call immunity in our body, which resists the disease to spread. Now, sometimes what happens that the dose of the pathogen is so strong that disease is our immune system is unable to combat that particular dose of the infection. So it never happens that abhi khaya or abhi mere ko problem hai. It always there is an incubation period which takes place. Now this is something very important. We must learn from that. Some of the gastroenteritis which are very acute in nature might take only 12, 10 to 12 hours to leading to diarrhea, vomiting, and other symptoms. But one thing I would like to put it over here very categorically that the Government of India initiative under the open defecation program,
Yes.
we have been able to provide all the villages, almost all the household, so that the open air defecation does not take place. And we have made a significant progress under this present government
Right.
because open air defecation leads to contamination of all the vegetables, all the food grown in the fields get contaminated with parasitic infestations. We will get it all type of microbes and other things due to fecal contamination. Dr. Indiresh Gupta just mentioned. So this is important that we must ensure that the open air defecation should be avoided. Another issue which you raised was it has been seen that availability of the water, the quantity of water which is available is also important.
Right.
Like the same household during the summer season when the when the water scarcity is there, so lady of the house manages the everything with a small amount of water. So there is an unhygienic way of preparation of the
Right.
food. So this is very important. So that's the reason the government of India has initiated a program that
Har ghar,
Har
har jal.
mein
Yes.
nal.
Yes.
So this is something very important that if we try to have the safe water supply, adequate quantity in the household, we are going to have safe food because the
All
government of
right.
India is, yeah.
All
Thank you.
right. All right. So here we had an eminent panel today who helped us understand what are foodborne illnesses and how grave they can get, and what we on our level, at our levels, can do to prevent these illnesses, be it on the individual level, be it at the individual level, or at the societal level. We'll have a quick rapid fire round. I would request all of you to give very crisp, short answers for our viewers to get some myths corrected. Dr. Raheja, the last meal causes food illness. Is it so?
That is possible.
Dr. Gupta, freezing prevents bacterial growth always.
No. Freezing may slow down the bacterial growth, but even that is not all the time.
Dr. Kapil, if food looks good and smells fine, it's safe to eat. Is it so?
Not at all.
Dr. Reja, if you let food sit outside more than 2 hours, you can make it safe by reheating it really hot.
Not really.
Dr. Gupta, the people who have vegetarian diets are less prone to foodborne diseases.
In a way, yes, especially in the summer and rainy season.
Dr. Kapil, if you drop food on the floor and pick it up within 5 seconds, it's safe to eat. Is it so?
It is safe to eat because dry surface does not leads to contamination. It's a wet surface which leads to contamination.
All right. So with that, we'll end this discussion here. Thank you all of you for joining us and helping us understand foodborne diseases better, and for that insightful discussion. So we now know how safe food contributes to good health. Unsafe food not only jeopardizes public health but also hinders economic development and weakens food systems. There is a need to call for action by governments, producers and consumers to share the responsibility of making food safe for all. After all, safe food for today is the key for a healthy tomorrow, isn't it? With that, we end this edition of Wellness Watch here. Till we meet next, take good care of yourselves. Bye-bye. Done.